Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Yellow Belly Tabletop live stream. Who have we got in the chat tonight? Jerry. Jerry, you're not allowed to test chat. I test the chat.
Jerry's here early doors, eh?
And don't ask me why is it scrolling from the bottom, Paul, because Paul doesn't know. It normally scrolls from the top.
Paul's an old man and touched a button, probably.
Have YouTube changed default settings? Maybe. Don't know. Can I move my microphone a little bit closer? Possibly. So, yes. Hello. Welcome to another Yellow Belly Tabletop live stream. If you're joining us in the chat at any point, please feel free to comment on what you're working on. I know that you will have had a busy day filming, I imagine, Jerry, because you do the weekenders and that this part of the week, don't you? So if you're just chilling with a beer, one would understand. But if you are by any chance doing some hobby, just let us know. Ron D. We
seem to have started a theme here. Everybody seems to be
Excuse me, what's going on? This is a free-for-all chat test, is it? We got voice audio.
Hey! At least the interaction's up.
That is true. Yeah. Even if it is everybody just taking the Michael, then yeah, the interaction is there. So we said, what are you lot doing? Well, while you lot are telling us, hi Chris, welcome back, and Ricky, God,
fucking hell, they're all here tonight. Fucking everyone's early doors.
Does that mean that previous weeks, Ron, you've either had video and or no audio, or yeah, I think Ron's just sort of like shocked that the whole thing seems to be working. Guinness on stand.
You've just fucking cursed it by saying that.
Look at that. Look at this. Jerry is bang on theme. Well, guess what we're talking about later.
Building some Moonstone. I want to know what Moonstone he's building, though.
Yeah, what are you building, Jerry? What floats your boat in the realm of Moonstone? Because it is a fairly eclectic mix. I think you've got everything in there, from pirate goblins to freaky fairies, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh, and then he's going to do Exodus afterwards. My God, this man is bang on theme.
Fucking hell! It's almost as if we're on theme for once as well. Obviously, the two games that we looked at Expo, everybody else looked at and pulled the trigger on.
Yeah. Right. So, what are we doing? I am going to surprise nobody. Let's go to my tabletop. What am I doing? Well, if anybody has seen my second Assassin's Creed board game video that I put up on the channel, then you'll know that I got scuppered by the campaign book, which failed to tell me that I needed chests, so I ended up with grey plastic, so that's not going to catch me out again.
Yes, but I did forewarn you after, like, session 1, you literally needed everything painted, and you said, no!
Yeah, I thought that was your normal hyperbolic nonsense. So, apparently for mission 3, I also need agiles, so I've got 10 of these guys to batch paint. Really pleased with obviously these are board game miniatures, so we're doing a high speed army paint speed paints over a dirty Zenithal Prime, which is Vallejo black primer, then a 45 degree Vallejo grey, then a top down white ink, so sort of 3 levels of shading. I'm really pleased with how the blue has come out on these. This for everybody's.
The picture you sent me the other day looked fucking amazing.
I mean,
absolutely gorgeous.
Totally by accident, it's almost a perfect colour match for the models from the Assassin's Creed computer game. So that's speed paint High Lord blue over just the Zenithal, and the other thing that I'm painting is the remaining 20 crossbowmen. You get 30 of these in the game, 20 in this pose, and 10 in like a loading pose, where the guy's actually putting a quarrel in the crossbow. I've already done the loaders. These are the other 20. And again, one of the sort of lose conditions of the game is if at any point as an assassin player you get reinforcements and cannot place a mini because you haven't been killing them fast enough, you lose. Game over. So I don't want to be in a situation where I'm sort of like having to dump grey plastic on the game just to keep things moving. So I've got a massive amount of painting to get through. I'm not expecting to get 34 miniatures finished tonight. I mean, let's be sensible. But that's what I'm going to be cracking on with. Let's just go back to the main scene.
Ron is complimenting you, saying, "High speed," he says, "I wish I could paint to that board game quality level."
Honestly, mate, I am not going to sit here and say that it's skill. It's all techniques. And it literally is Zenithal Prime, raw paint, no highlights, no messing about.
To be fair, though, those speed paints are liquid talent in a bottle when you know what you're doing with them.
I was talking to David the other night. I haven't actually used contrast. I'm the only sort of like way I've brushed up against this group of products, because I know there's loads of them on the market, is the Army Painter speed paints. And apart from the somewhat limited colour range, because I think you only get 23 colours in the diluent medium in the mega pack, the colour range is a little limited, but they're a killer product. They are a killer product. I'm so pleased with them.
I'm a little bit washed out.
So that's what I'm up to. Let's just have a quick skim of the chat.
Jerry is being a Moonstone dealer because he's going to paint up a couple of troops and then sharing's caring to get other people
Black
hooked
Powder
on the
and
hobby.
Masquerade. Oh, we're going to have to set up a bloody Discord so that people can send us photos and we can actually see the stuff as well. Damn it, right, that's a job for next week. So you've got Assassin's Creed as well, Jerry, yeah? Or are you talking about the studio copy? Because I think Ben said you've got it kicking around in the studio. I agree. For board game miniatures, it shocked me how good they look when you get the paint on them. When you actually just start working on them, the details lift out of them, and they're actually good minis. They're not the cleanest. I mean, I know that you're a mold line fascist, and these things will give you a bit of stress, because getting the mold lines off the PVC, you could probably do with a thermic lance to do the job. Scalpel blades just not really up to it. I have used the medium to thin down the Hive Dweller purple. You remember those Infinity miniatures, those HVTs I put up on my blog? I thinned the Hive Dweller purple because I'd seen a lot of scare stories on the internet that it was as dark as hell. And it goes on nearly black. So I thinned it 50-50 with the medium, and I was really pleased with the results. Really pleased with it. Oh no, looks like Ron's another mold line fascist. Well, all I'm going to say, Ron, is I did my best until I got a migraine, and then I just said sod it, and just moved on with my life. But there we go. So
I was going to say, usually you're a right Nazi with mold lines. Like,
I do like to do a job. It's what I've always said. My philosophy of painting minis is start with the basics. So the mini wants to be clean. Your base coats want to be painted clean with sharp edges, no overpaint, no sort of rough patches. If you do that, even if you're not doing then insane Angel Heralda's levels of 5 highlights and airbrush treatments and Christ knows what, miniatures look surprisingly good if they're painted cleanly. It's so key, I think, and it's sort of like I always say to anybody who I'm sort of like mentoring who is relatively new to the hobby, just keep persisting at being clean. When you can paint a model clean, sharp, well-defined areas of paint, move on. Then worry about, can you highlight, can you shade, can you do this, can you do that? Because if you can do all those fancy techniques, and
again, it's that brush control, isn't it? If when you start washing and using like coloured washes like I do, you need the brush control to be able to put them where you want them. If you don't know how to paint a clean base coat, you might as well just not bother.
I was going to say, exactly, and it's like you say, if you've got no brush control to place your base colours, good luck placing your highlights. It's going to be like, fucking, you may as well spray them from 10 foot away with an aerosol. It's going to be completely a car crash. So, and that's always been my philosophy. So, like you say, David, yes, I normally do spend a heck of a lot of time. It's like on those, I'd had a recent nightmare with the
Carnevale minis.
War Cradle Strigoi Carnevale. Those miniatures were as ropey as fuck. They're all resin. They got some terrible mold slip. They really took a lot of cleaning up. It stressed the absolute hell out of me. And then I had to go in.
Just start giggling, listening to him swearing about the mold slippage and everything else.
Then I had to go in with the old Vallejo plastic putty and fill in the bloody... I mean, one of the vampires, actually, that's a good point. I've not finished her yet. She's literally got... Looks like somebody's driven a hole punch into the back of her thigh. She's literally got a circular well about 4 mil deep and 3 mil across, almost through one of her legs. They are not the cleanest models I've ever worked with. And I will get them good before I start putting paint on them, because otherwise there's no point. Do you know what I mean? If you're putting good paint over rubbish models, it ain't going to look good. With all the effort in the world, it ain't going to look good. But as I say, I am going to freely admit, when the close-ups appear in my blog on the old site, expect to see a few bit mould lines, especially on inner thighs and inner legs and difficult areas to reach.
The thing is, they're posed, so the Assassin's Creed stuff is so closely posed as well. Yeah, like they're not even in an open pose to get in with a knife. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, these models aren't too bad, but the loading guys, where they've got both arms crossed over themselves, loading the crossbow like this, it's like, nah, you're not getting in there. You can't.
I'm all right.
So, what about you, David? What are you working on tonight? Let me switch.
What am I doing?
Let me switch to David's mobile.
Switch to my mobile.
Here we go.
Sir.
Motion sickness tablets at the ready, guys.
We are working on Morrigan. So we've got a nice red down.
Excellent.
And we've got his skin and the armour to do tonight and the leather belts.
Oh, sorry, just go on, carry on, mate. You talk.
On his followers. Yeah. So we're getting the skin tones down on them because I've done their ass capes.
They're looking good, actually.
And then after that, we might move on to some Carnevale, some madmen.
This is the doctors, isn't it? Because you've finished all of your patricians.
Patricians, yeah. All the patricians are finished. And I've started putting some base coats down. But obviously not the lot. So I've got that to do.
We'll come back to Jerry's chat. You carry on, mate. Jerry, mate, feel your pain. Absolutely feel your pain. I'll tell you about the best one I had. I might even be able to show you the minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, go get them. The other thing I had turn up this week, and I'm going to just put my phone down at a second, boys and girls at home, so don't worry that the screen's just gone black.
Okay.
Somebody at TT Combat went rummaging.
This is
This is the mystery box. So this is two mystery boxes. One PHR unit, UCM anti-air unit.
Now, are you just literally shopaholicing here? Because you're not going to work on any of this tonight, are you? You're just
I'm just going because actually, what is probably going to annoy Ricky is I got some Spirit Light gates.
Oh, I love those Shaltari models.
Shaltari Jaguar.
Ooh, what's that? A Walker?
Yeah, a Shaltari Eden Gate. Some Scourge Warriors. Yeah, fine,
whatever. If you don't want them, I'll have them.
Shaltari Ronins.
More Walkers. Is that their proxy infantry stuff?
No, this is bigger than infantry, but not full-size PHR Walkers.
What are their infantry ones called?
Braves, I think.
Don't encourage him, Jerry. He'll be unpacking his little shopping next.
I got the Jungle Devil, so a Scourge Commander. A Resistance Salakan, whatever the hell that is.
Looks like a tank, just saying.
Yeah. And then Seti the Kinslayer.
Which is the Shaltari model. I
really looked out. I got 4 Shaltari models out of this box.
Well, that's fine. You've got a ton of Shaltari, haven't you?
I got a load of Shaltari. Well, again, it was that thing of they're on offer. 40 quid's worth of minis, but I own all 5 factions, so it's like, yeah, and I'll use them all.
Yeah, so, I mean, to be fair, that's why you bought it, though, wasn't it? You've bought so hard into DZC, you couldn't lose. Whatever they sent you, you were going to use, weren't you?
Yeah, DW bought 100 quid's worth.
Went a little bit more mad than you. But is he the same? Has he got every faction as well? Or is he flipping what he doesn't want?
He's only got PHR, and I think he's flipping what he doesn't want after I've had first dibs at it.
That seems a bit mad. Let me show. Just for anybody who's missed it, in the comments, Jerry's put, I found some ropey sprue gates on some of those War Cradle resins, mate. The best one. So I bought the new Strigoi.
You want to knock my camera off, Chuck, or are you already on that?
I bought the new Strigoi Airborne Cannibals box. This guy, who is a cool mini, he's sort of like the centerpiece, the big guy. He had a sprue gate off the point of his chin. So I literally had to construct the lower half of his face like some fucking cosmetic surgeon out of a huge rectangular sprue. What the fuck, War Cradle? Really?
Not War Cradle. Stop tarring War Cradle.
Sorry. TT Combat. Sorry. Mate. Yes. Sprue gates and placement. That is something we're going to definitely have a live stream where that's the feature. Who builds who designs these sprues? Because if it's software they're using, they should pay somebody minimum wage to do it better. If it's a human being, give them the job of making the tea and find somebody else.
Take them outside.
Because what the hell? Okay, so rant over.
Now that public service announcement's been covered, shall we cover what we did at Club this week?
Yeah. Let's do that. Let me get my mini cam out my way so I can actually start putting some speed paint down. I forgot who went first last week, but I tell you what, you go first this week. So what did you do Monday night?
This week, I decided to show Ricky how to play some Blood Bowl. He's played a game before, but actually teach him some tactics and rules and why we set up certain minis in Blood Bowl certain ways. So we had Skaven that Ricky was playing, which were mine.
Yep.
Versus the human set from Club. So
Chris is finally getting some painting done. Well done, Chris.
I did just see that pop up in chat. So all in all, it was a good close game. The game ended 2-2. I kicked to Ricky first. We had a good first half. Ricky scored quite early on, which gave me chance to on the comeback. Second half, Ricky's kicking to me. I managed to waste the clock down to the point that Ricky almost wouldn't get it in.
Fwerp.
Yeah, yo. I managed to steal the ball off Ricky after my second touchdown. Then Ricky stole it back.
Ooh.
Yeah, and Ricky was going to really go for the touchdown. This was like turn, I want to say 5.
And you were already 1 up by this point.
2 up.
Oh,
it was
right.
2-1.
Christ.
Score was 2-1.
Oh, yeah, so you were 1 up. 2-1.
Yeah, I did say to him, like, yes, go for it, but then you're kicking to me, and I will just build a cage, and I'm outnumbering you 2 men to 1 at this point. It's going to hurt.
Because of casualties,
and it'll be 3-1. I said, you're better off trying to tie this game. Don't go straight for the line. Just keep pulling me around and out of position and sort of teaching him how to play Skaven properly. Because Ricky is looking at getting some Dark Elves.
Okay, they're a good compromise team. They're not the squishiest in the world, and but they have got some mobility and passing game, so not a bad choice. And the models are excellent, I think.
So that was my Monday night hobby. It has been a while, and I think we've said it before. It's a game we actually both enjoy playing if it's in a non-league setting and you're not playing fucking dwarves.
I think as a pick up and play game, it's pretty top notch. I'm not a fan of league play because I find winners keep winning, losers keep losing, and it's a bit of a spiral of decline for some players.
And the other problem we've had before with certain leagues we've played in is dropouts.
Well, that's a symptom of the spiral of decline, isn't it? If you've lost your first 3 games and you've got a ton of casualties, what the hell is the incentive for bothering? You know, I must make sure I turn up to lose my 4th game. No, nobody bothers. So, although it's a fun idea, and I think it's a great idea on paper, it's not something that I've had a great experience with Blood Bowl League play. It always tends to degenerate in much the same sort of fashion.
What did you do this week?
I got super lucky, and I had 2...
Oh yeah, you had 2 nights, didn't you, of gaming?
Had 2 gaming sessions this week. So, for those of you who've been watching previous weeks, you know that at the moment I've got a massive hard-on for the Arkham Horror living card game. And myself and 2 friends, Daniel and Natalie, are playing through the Dunwich Legacy campaign. We had a 4th player join us Monday night, because we played this on Monday, because Natalie and Daniel couldn't make club. So we had a sort of session outside of club time, because club's on a Tuesday normally. And we played Blood on the Altar, which is mission 5 from Dunwich Legacy. Essentially, the characters have to run around a village trying to find a hidden sacrificial chamber while the villagers are butchering and murdering sacrifices. So it's a race against the clock to see if you can save the innocents, sort of thing. We had a new player, as I say, Joe. It was his first game of Arkham ever, so we were sort of showing him the ropes as we went along. But it worked really well. We did really well in the scenario. We rescued every single sacrificial victim that had been kidnapped, so we had a pretty much perfect run. It did get a bit hairy at one point, because for everybody at home, I'm playing Harvey Walters, who's like this 70-year-old academic professor. And I said I discovered the key to the secret chamber. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just move into the secret chamber. What could possibly go wrong? It'll be fine. And we wanted to keep our momentum going. We didn't want to sort of like hang back. The fighter, Daniel, who's playing Tommy Muldoon, was massively out of position. So if a monster turned up, there was no way he was going to be able to come and help quickly. And I said, yeah, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. We went into this location, and basically your average enemy in Arkham, a strong creature will have like 6 health you've got to take off it, which is normally 3 full hits with a 2 damage weapon. Basically, this boss monster was in this chamber. It had 24 health.
Oh shit.
So that was a thing.
Did you regretfully run back out of the door you came in?
No, to be honest, I couldn't, because I used my last action going in. So I was stuck there with it. But I managed to tank a couple of hits. And then the rest of the guys piled in the location with me. And we then had a choice, because there are 2 ways to sort of win the scenario. Either kill the creature, doing all 24 damage, which was like, frankly, Cloud Cuckoo Land. I don't know how you would even begin to do that. Or scoop up all of the clue tokens off its location to trigger the ending. Because it's basically sort of like representing that while this thing is trying to attack and rip you to pieces, you're all running around the room trying to find a way to disable it in the mystic notes that have been left by the cultists on the tables and stuff like that. And we went for that solution to the problem, and we did manage to hoover up, I think it was 17 clues before good old Harvey. We managed to hoover up the 17 clues before everybody got butchered, although both Harvey and Winifred Habermock were pretty close to being dead. We did, and we won. We finished the scenario, disabled the bad guy, rescued all the prisoners. It was really cool. Excellent. And it made up for the week before. Again, if people who've seen last week's live stream, you'll know that we played the Essex County Express scenario and got our fucking asses kicked from here to Sunday, when the entire train carriage containing the party was sucked into oblivion and we all just died. Were taken out of action. Defeated is the technical term in the game. In Arkham, you rarely die. You just get defeated. And then have to sort of like get some bad consequences before you start the next scenario. So that was what I did Monday. Got my fix of Arkham. Which again, I'm loving. And then on Tuesday, I said to Patrick, well, loads of people are not going to be at the club for various personal reasons. And I haven't done anything in Cold Blood with miniatures for a long while, because I've been playing all these card games. I said, I really want to do something with toy soldiers. And he said, he shortlisted it to either Malifaux or Marvel Crisis Protocol. And I said, do you know what? Let's do Marvel. And I don't own any Marvel, so I am shamelessly piggybacking on Patrick's collection. But Patrick is what we would call the gaming advocate for that game, so he owns pretty much everything, I think.
Dealer.
Even all of the terrain. So he set up a fantastic looking board. I played Spider Foes, so I played Carnage, Mysterio, Lizard. Who else did I play?
I lost my batteries, annoyingly.
Who are some of the Spider-Man villains that I might have forgotten, people?
Green Goblin?
Green Goblin, thank you. I had 5. Mysterio, Green Goblin, Lizard.
I'm just taking my headset off a minute, mate.
Oh, and Carnage. That was the 5. And it was so close. It was a fantastic game. Patrick was running a bit of a mixed bag. He had Moon Knight, Blade. Who else did he? He brought Peter Parker Spider-Man, which was really thematic because Green Goblin basically chased him around the board trying to kick his ass, but he moves so fast, it's insane. Who else did he bring? He brought the Cage guy. Is it Luke Cage? I want to say. And a guy called something Fist. You'll have to pardon me because I'm really crap on Marvel IP, so I don't know what he was basically a guy. He looks like he's got a flaming fist attack. Don't ask me what his actual character name is, but Patrick won in the end. Because it's in Marvel Crisis Protocol, it's first player to 16 points. I think he got 16 and I was back on 11, something like that. So it wasn't. It was a really close game because he was scoring like 4 a turn, so it was literally only 1 turn swing in it. But it was Doc Octopus. Thank you very much. That was my other one, Ron. Well done. Yes, Doc Ock, Carnage, Mysterio, Green Goblin, and Lizard. 17 threat, I think the game was. And I realised I could have probably won it if I'd have spent the power tokens on my superheroes more intelligently. Because there was this objective token that if you held it, you scored 2 points in a turn. And it was out of play, and Patrick managed to make a absolutely rapid deployment with Blade, pick it up to score 2 points in the last turn and win. But I actually had a card that allowed me to pay 3 power from Green Goblin and Doc Octopus, and it immediately made any opposing model anywhere on the board just drop its objective. And I missed it. Well, I didn't miss it. By the time I realised I could play it, I'd already activated Green Goblin and burned all his power. And it was like, crap. Why did I do that? Yeah, Iron Fist. That was probably it, mate. Yep. If he's got Fist in his name. Thank you, Jerry. So, yeah. Brilliant game. People may have gathered from the fact I don't know the names of anything. I am about as meh on the Marvel cinematic universe as it's possible for a person to be. I really don't care one way or the other.
Couldn't give a damn.
I've seen probably 3 of the movies, if that. But it's a great game. For a tabletop miniatures game, so thematic, captures that feeling of superheroes beating the crap out of each other so well. Good pacing, great missions, great tactical play, and there's loads going on. So yeah, loved it. Absolutely loved it. The only problem is like I said to David, I don't own any, and every time I play it, I think, oh, I should buy some.
Just add it to the pile of shame.
And it's just like, no, don't do it.
Add it to the pile of shame.
So yeah, that's what I did.
That's what credit cards are for.
That's what I did this week in hobby.
What was I going to say?
I don't know, mate. What were you going to say?
Shall we get onto the topic we're going to talk about tonight?
Let's do the topic, because I think I can do the topic and keep painting. Because
that's what I was going to say.
I've not even... Because once we start down the rabbit hole of slideshows, we're not going to get any painting done, or I'm not. So, yeah. What we were going to talk about tonight, guys, is critical wound mechanics in tabletop miniatures games. Because we've played a couple of games recently where we've sort of like walked away, both of us have sort of walked away with a slightly
What
bad taste in our mouths because of these mechanics. For me, it was Underworlds. When I realised, because for those of you who don't know, in Underworlds you roll custom dice during an attack step, and your dice have 3 symbols on it.
Or no, 5. Swords, hammers, half supports, full supports, crits.
Oh yeah, well okay, yeah, they have all those other symbols, but the ones that matter are hammers and knives, and certain monsters hit on one or the other symbol. Then they have a crit symbol, which there is one of on the dice. Now, the way you resolve an attack is...
Custom D6 for everyone at home that might not be familiar with the game.
Yes, it's a 6-sided custom dice. The way you resolve your attack is you roll a defined number of dice, which is set in your attack profile. It's often 2, can be 3, can be more in some extreme cases, but it's often 2 or 3. And you count the symbols that succeed for you. So normally that will be either hammers or swords, and crits. Crits always succeed.
Your halves and fulls are only if there's any supporting minis, and to be fair, that's only a third of the dice, and it applies both ways. It's applicable on the defense and on the attack, so it's a bit like, okay, you can just disregard that as part of the roll.
Well, not only that, they're a bit like, they're just regular successes. So if you have 2 supporting minis, you score a success on these half circle and full circle symbols. So they're just another way to get a success. It makes sense thematically, because if you're running a big warband of weak guys, it means that you can get powerful attacks off just by positional play. But the way when you roll defense dice as the opponent, again, your defense dice have the same family of symbols. You have shields and sort of arrows. And normally either shield or arrow will score a success for your model. Again, there are card effects where you can score on both, but we'll skirt over that.
Or guard. Guard is another example of scoring on both. But that takes an action to disregard.
And then the crit symbol. And the way that the combat system works is crits trump everything. So the first thing you do when you're resolving your combat step is count the number of crits on each side. So if one player rolls a crit and the other doesn't, it matters not one fig what's on any of the other dice. That critical symbol renders the rest of the dice in play utterly fucking irrelevant. And you win. If you both score the same number of crits, then the other dice are used as tiebreakers. If you roll no crits, then obviously you just count successes. Highest successes wins. And I found, when we were playing it, it made me realise that it actually skews the combat system in favour of higher dice count. Because
whoever can throw more dice has more chance of getting that crit off.
Exactly. If you have a choice of playing an ability that adds a dice to an attack, that's of more value than improving your, either putting a supporting model in or
going from hitting on swords to hitting on hammers,
to hitting on both symbols, or whatever. Because by putting the extra dice in, you enhance your crit fishing potential. And
there was a good example while we were playing where I think you got 3 successes or whatever it was.
I got something like 4 successes, didn't I? And you just rolled 2 defense dice
single crit,
and got 1 crit. Cancelled the whole thing. And it's just like, that
Why do I
feels
bother?
bad. That feels objectively bad. And your sort of negative experience was Warcry. Well, and Age of Fantasy in a way, but
Yes,
Warcry was the first one, wasn't it, mate? So do you want to tell us a little bit about why you walked away with a bit of a bad taste in your mouth from crits in Warcry?
So, when you crit in Warcry, rather than, say, reducing an armor save or equivalent, something that's only a minor mod, no, your weapon goes from like 2 damage to 4 damage, or in some cases, even worse. So you're removing a massive chunk of things, wounds. The other problem is there's no, unlike in not AOS, Underworlds, where obviously you've got that chance of removing it with a crit yourself. You can't crit a defense roll from memory in Warcry.
I don't believe you make a defense roll in Warcry, do you?
No, exactly. That's what I mean. There's
absolutely no counterplay. If your opponent bins down,
rolls spike dice and crits the fucking lot, it's like, okay, well, I'll just pick that many up now and then, shall I?
Because I mean, I've only played Warcry once. Do you score damage for each success, or is it you only score the damage once, like Underworld?
It doesn't matter whether it's
no, I just couldn't remember. I was just
because we said about the fact that it absolutely came because you were like, because you thought I was playing wrong, and then you went and looked at the rules, and I'm fairly sure after you looked at the rules, you were like, no, you were playing it right.
Yeah, I did. We did concede that you had a valid point. And the other thing is, just going through a few of my cards, some things, the crit jumps to like 6 wounds.
Yeah.
Or even higher. It's such a massive spike on your damage output.
Yeah, you go from...
I began to see your point.
Damage output, or now it's 6. So it's like most of the wounds on most minis gone.
Yeah.
On a crit, on a D6.
That's the other thing. Both of these games we're talking about are D6 systems, which means that effectively you roll that critical symbol, what is it, 13.5% on every dice? Whatever 100 over 6 is, for anybody who's better at maths than I am.
And then we come on to the next devil in the room. Ricky rolling spike dice, playing one-page rules Age of Fantasy. Because Ricky was playing with the equivalent of like the Medusas from AOS, but they have a rule with poison. So what they do is rather than rolling a 6 to hit causes 1 wound or causes 1 hit, it causes 3.
So it effectively trebles the damage output on
and
each
Ricky
roll.
was rolling spike dice. Now, obviously, that's just Ricky rolling spike dice. But it did hurt quite a lot for Ricky. For example, Ricky's rolling, I think, 9 attacks in that unit. And from memory, there wasn't a turn where he rolled lower than 2 6s. Because it's 3 attacks per mini.
Like Warcry, there's no crit mechanic on an armor save, is there?
No.
So there's no counterbalance to it.
The other problem with the poison is it just makes you make more saves.
Yeah, increasing your chances of rolling fails statistically, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yeah, crits have kind of left snakes all day, Ricky. You don't make me salty. So, yeah, crits have recently left a bad taste in our mouth. Longer term, when Paul used to be a patron at our local club, we used to play, obviously, Frostgrave, that has the optional rule of crits doubling damage output. Now, you always said that you didn't like playing with it.
I hate it because we've said, because again, all the crit rule does in Frostgrave is double your damage. But bearing in mind, your damage total is the difference between the number you rolled and the enemy's armour, which is typically around 10 to 12. So if you're critting on a 20, it's already 10 to 8 damage. And then you double it.
Yeah.
I
suppose that was the thing with Frostgrave. It basically guaranteed a kill on anything.
It was literally a one-hit kill. If you roll a crit and your opponent doesn't, it's a one-hit kill. And to be fair, in close combat in Frostgrave, when your opponent rolls a crit, you both take the damage, so it becomes mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
It's an absolute nuts system.
Well, no. If you both roll the same value, you take the same. Obviously, if something's got an insane fight value and rolls a crit, it's going to be like a 25 or something stupid versus, say, a thug that rolls a natural 20 will be a 22.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because once the total's damaged, once it's doubled, it hits everything, doesn't it?
Ron has asked if you've got a link for those goggles on your Faceboy.
I bought them on Amazon, mate. I will indeed put a link in the video description for anybody who wants to buy them. I recently replaced the ones I had before, which were a similar design, but the headband at the back split. The plastic cracked after about 5 or 6 years use. So I just looked on the internet for some reviews. These got a really good write-up, even though they're a little bit more expensive than... I mean, my last pair was literally £5 from a bargain bin shop. But these were a little bit more expensive, but you can feel they've got much higher build quality. But yeah, I will indeed put a link in the description. I'm entirely happy with them. I've had them for a few weeks now. They're really comfortable. The magnification's adequate. I haven't used... You'll notice it's mounted with a light here that can run off... I think it's AA batteries mounted in the headset. But I don't use it because obviously I'm all set up with lighting, so I don't need to. So I don't know whether that's a good... I don't know whether it's good or a waste of time. If you want to know, I'm afraid I can't tell you.
I'm just going to reply to Jerry. It is in 2nd edition. They changed that. In 1st edition, it was double, mate. Which is obviously the last time me and Paul played Frostgrave personally together.
Yes, good catch, Jerry. They did in fact tone that down, so it now only adds 5, doesn't it? It doesn't double the total, which I think's excellent.
It's still a one-hit kill, let's be brutally honest.
Yeah, it is. Because, as I say, adding 5 to 8 or 10 is already enough to take out any minion. And unless you've taken some health upgrades on your wizard, it'll probably one-shot your wizard or your apprentice too. And, it's made me question, as somebody who's played a lot of games for a lot of years, why the fuck do we have these mechanics in games? Why are designers so in love with critical mechanics? I mean, Frostgrave, if anything, is the best of a bunch because it's optional. And it says that quite clearly in the rules. This rule is optional.
The other thing with Frostgrave, it has made out some really narrative things, like John Rambo taking out the giant worm.
Well, this leads into a whole aspect of the conversation, mate, doesn't it? So, like, Frostgrave is not a game that claims to be balanced. If you're playing Frostgrave thinking that you're playing chess with little toy soldiers, you are labouring under the world's greatest misapprehension. And Frostgrave, to be fair to it,
wears that narrative hat well and says, I'm narrative, play me in campaign mode or don't really play me.
Yeah. You're in a campaign mode game, expect cinematic moments, expect craziness, embrace the crazy. But that's not the case with Warcry and fucking Underworlds, is it? Or have I missed something? These things sell themselves as tight tactical board games. I won't call them full-on war games because I don't think they are. I think they are tactical board games with miniatures.
But we come on to the elephant in the room. One of the most balanced competitive games that there is. Infinity.
Well, yeah. Let's be devil's advocate. Well, Infinity has a crit mechanic. On a successful hit, you double your damage. Or you make 2 armor rolls instead of 1. Okay, yeah, so it doubles that damage from 1 to a potential 2. Okay. And when do you get a crit? Well, potentially the same frequency as Frostgrave, 5% of the time.
1 in 20 times.
So 5%. And also, 99% of the time, you're going to be doing it on an opposed roll. And if your opponent crits, he cancels your crit. And nothing happens. So, you know,
not the end of the world.
I have played a fair bit of Infinity, and I have never found the crit rule to be like massive feel bads. The only time where I think the crit rule does get a bit out of control in Infinity is when you get like some of these close combat monsters, like I run JSA, and when you get an Oniwa ban with a bloody monofilament weapon in close combat, and he's got like a CC of 25. Now, when your stats go over 20 in Infinity, effectively what it does is it pulls down your critical level. So an Oniwa ban who's hitting, say, on a 25, he's only rolling 1 dice. It's very, very, very difficult to get him to roll multiple dice, but it means he is critting on anything from like a 17 up.
Jerry's just made a good point.
Yep.
It comes down to the whole game is designed, though. I've nothing against crits, assuming the designer knows what they're doing with them. GW haven't made a good rule set in decades. But again, Jerry, this feeds back into the argument that me and Paul had sort of as a pre-stream discussion when we said we was going to deal with this as a topic. Why put a crit mechanic on a D6 game?
I think that is valid. The actual choice of the dice is crucial. It's absolutely crucial because it affects the frequency of it. I mean, all of the dice games where I can say crits don't really piss me off too much are things like Infinity, D20, Frostgrave, D20. You know, once you start putting a crit mechanic, Marvel Crisis Protocol has a crit mechanic. And I think hope I'm not going to make myself look foolish for the 2 or 3 games I've played. They are custom D6s, I think. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Is Marvel Crisis Protocol D6? Yes, so Crispin, yes. In Marvel Crisis Protocol, that's exactly what happens. When you roll a crit in Marvel Crisis Protocol, all the crit does is add 1 dice to your dice pool, so you effectively get to roll a new dice. But that dice still only hits 50% of the time. So the crit mechanic is there, but you compare it to stuff like Warcry, where every crit hit just trebles your damage output.
Or even that 1-page rules poison. Oh, I've rolled a 6, that's triple.
Yeah,
okay, wonderful.
Again, I've played Marvel Crisis Protocol. Yes, it has a crit mechanic. Again, where's the balance? The crit mechanic also it's D8s, is it? Thanks, Jerry. So it's not a D6. So it's what's 8? Oh, is it 12%?
12.5.
So it's less often, and B, when you get your crit, you only roll the extra dice, and C, the defender rolls defense dice, and if they get a crit, guess what? They get to roll an extra defense dice. Exploding dice are also a thing in similar mechanic in Dead Zone. Not Firefight now, because they've taken the exploding dice out of Firefight. But again, why does... and again, Mantic have said this. Well, why did we take the exploding dice out of Firefight or not bring it over from the core sort of theme of Dead Zone? The number of dice you're rolling. When you're rolling 2 or 3 dice, rolling an 8 and then rolling again is cool. When you're rolling 20 dice and then rolling extra dice for all of your 8s and then extra dice for all of the 8s you get in them, it starts to get retarded fast.
I suppose that's the other thing. Frostgrave Infinity, it's what? 1 dice? 2 dice per model per turn?
That's that's the other crucial thing. How many dice are you rolling? And you'd bang on, mate. Infinity, you roll... It's damn unusual if you're rolling 2 or 3 dice for any kind of test in Infinity.
But burst 2 weapons, like assault weapons and that kind of thing. That's about it, isn't it?
And I can't... I mean, I think... Do you get some HMGs that go up to burst 3?
Burst 3...
But it's bloody uncommon, isn't it? If I think about Infinity, 90% of the time I'm chucking single dice. I don't know if I'm just shit at Infinity, but I don't find it that easy to get myself up to an crazy die. I mean, to be honest, the most common way is +1 burst from a fire team. Innit?
Yeah.
But even then... Yeah, like I say...
It's...
I think... It's what Jerry said.
Now here's a good point, actually. Of a game that has an inverted commas crit mechanic, but it's done well.
Yep.
DZC.
Now, you've played way more DZC than me, so you're going to have to talk me through this, because I couldn't even tell you what the crit mechanic is in DZC.
So, first edition had really rubbish table of looking at your values. This edition, you take your weapon's energy, you add your D6, and you compare it against your opponent's armor. If you equal or beat it by 1, you just do a single damage. If you equal or beat it by 2, or if you beat it by more than 2, you do 2 damage.
Okay, so it's not a crit thing as in fishing for a dice symbol. It's
no,
just,
you're not.
You've just got a scaling success.
You're looking for scaling successes. Because again, you're more likely to crit with your high energy weapons when you're targeting little bloody soft armor personnel carriers, etc. It's like, yeah, that's kind of not what they're designed for. They're designed to blow the legs off a behemoth at armor 15. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is a crit mechanic in inverted commas, but it's not. It's done nicely.
I know that. I mean, to be fair, the more we talk around this topic, I've just thought of another one in my head, which I'm going to mention in a minute. But the more we talk around this topic, the more it comes. Right, you see, Jerry's just said the crits mechanic in Moonstone is beautiful. Unfortunately, Jerry, neither David nor I have played it.
We couldn't get on the table at UKGE.
We wanted... It was very possibly going to be on the list of games that we both bought into at UKGE, but Jesus, getting onto the demo table was like, good luck. Lottery winner odds. They were packed all the time with people wanting to play that game, and I can't blame them, because the demo table was gorgeous. Yeah. So... if you want to throw a quick typed summary of how it works, mate, please do. Please do.
Feel free. Make us.
But I was just thinking of bolt action. It's not sold as a crit mechanic as such, but that idea of the selective model removal, where you remove your officer, you move your heavy weapon.
Yeah, if you roll a 6 and then
you have to roll a 6, then you have to roll a 6 again. Which is 1 in 36, or about, 2 3/4%? Again,
yes, like that.
It is a D6 system, but they've engineered it, they've written the rule so that the probability crashes. And you don't get I mean, can you imagine if it was like every 6 to hit in fucking bolt action, stripped out all the heavy weapon teams and all that stuff? It would drive you nuts.
Jerry's furiously typing at the keyboard like them memes that you see of the kittens. telling us about the Moonstone crit mechanic. I was just about to make another game that we played at UK Games Expo that has a crit success and a crit fail mechanic.
Wild West Exodus?
Yeah. Because, let me see if I've got my rule gubbins a minute.
You see, again, all that does 99% of the time in Wild West Exodus, all crits do is add some sort of keyword to your attack. So they might add stun or whatever. They don't suddenly make it so that, okay, no armor saves, you're dead.
Well, the best is I've just knocked my fucking camera. Wonderful. There we go. Back to the middle. I was just about to go through the tainted rule for Wild West Exodus, because that is actually a really cool version of the crit mechanic. Let me just find it so I can read it verbatim.
While David's looking for that, I've just had a thought. Correct me if I'm wrong. In N3 Infinity, crits.
I don't know. I never played any, did I?
No, I'm hoping somebody in the chat. So in N3, crits did allow no saves. But I'm sure in N4 they've dropped that and you now get an armor save against crits. Because even they realised, it's too much. Just doubling the hits is enough.
Jerry has put out there are 18 cards in a shared deck. In that deck, there are 3x6 cards, 3 attacks and 3 defense. The attacker draws their attack value in cards first, then the defender draws theirs, and then is carrying on.
Right, fine.
So Wild West Exodus, critical successes. So when you roll a 10, it always is a success regardless of any penalties. No unit, common, special rule, ability, or effect can cause a critical success to be re-rolled. Furthermore, rolling a crit success may trigger some additional effects on certain weapons or rules, which can be clearly stated on the unit cards.
Yeah.
When rolling a crit fail, i.e. 1...
The main thing is in that you can't re-roll it, can you?
Yeah. A failure regardless of any bonuses, no unit or common rule, blah, 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 blah. Rules that use general terms such as this unit may re-roll any failed combat checks, for example, never allow that unit to re-roll a crit fail. Yeah. Furthermore, rolling a crit fail may trigger some additional effects on certain weapons or rules, which can be clearly stated under the special rule.
Yep.
Now, because I'm a Hex player, I've got tainted checks to make. So, units with a tainted trait are referred to as tainted. Should the last model in a tainted unit be destroyed before you remove the model from the play area, you make a tainted check. And a tainted check is D10 plus your mind, and your target value is 10 or higher. If the tainted check is failed, then the model's just destroyed as normal. If the tainted check is passed, the model is replaced by a single model Hex Beast. This Hex Beast will not be able to take further part in the end of the round, blah, 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 blah.
Because it's already activated, okay.
On a crit success, the model is not replaced with a Hex Beast and is not destroyed or removed from play either. The model is not wounded and instead gains the hunkered, disordered, and stunned conditions. So basically, it's live beyond death if I roll a crit success on that mind check. On a crit fail, the model is replaced with a Hex Beast, as outlined above. However, the Hex Beast is under the control of the opposing player.
I was going to say, the other thing that Wild West Exodus has that none of the other games we've talked about have is the crit fail thing. So again, they balance critical success, which you have a 10% chance of getting on any dice roll, with the critical fail, which is not only bad, but you can't mitigate it in any way. It means 10% of your dice rolls will catastrophically fail, and you can't re-roll or shenanigans your way out of it. So again, balance.
Yeah. Now, Jerry's come back. Choose a card to use in the combat. If your attack gets through, you can play multiple of the same card you have used to increase your damage, so a pair of doubles and 3 of a kind triples.
Okay.
It means you need to draw all of the cards, and then your opponent has to choose the wrong card for you to get through.
Right.
So it's a bit like poker in that regard, that you're got to draw into what you want to get it off, I guess, in that respect, Jerry.
I mean, like you say, the fact that you have to draw them into a limited hand means the comboing off is automatically less likely. I mean, Malefo's got a crit mechanic. Again, it balances crit success with crit fail, red and black jokers. If you pull a black joker, you failed. Don't bother, you can't cheat it, you're done, finish. If you draw the red joker, it counts as 13, it boosts your damage output, it's virtually impossible for your opponent to stop, but it's 1 in 54 cards.
Before I attack this model with Wash, we did say Drucci for the skin tone, didn't we? For Morrigan.
Yeah, sorry, I zoned out. Yes, I thought so, Jerry. N3 critical hits ignored armor and BTS checks. I thought they did, but no, that's right. Sorry, mate. What were you saying? You wanting some
Morrigan?
Yeah.
Drucci Violet.
Right. On your
Am
red.
I washing him with Drew? No, on the skin tone.
Well, it's what I said to you. What do you want?
Look on the skin.
What do you want to go for?
Don't really know at the moment. I'm attacking him with Drucci.
I mean, we had this conversation. I think it's for things that are dead. Drucci Violet, I think, sets a really nice undertone for those sort of things. It's not zombie skin colour, but it's good for things like vampires and, animated dead, I think.
Well, you say that, and yet I used it on my zombies for the Exiled Dead.
That's true.
Over the green.
And out of the two ones you did, I preferred the Drucci one to the other. But that's probably just my bias. So yeah, critical mechanics. I'm
trying to think of a game.
And again, so here's the other question. We've discussed whether they're good, whether they're bad, how impactful they can be. Why do designers love them? I guess the obvious answer that everybody's going to come back with is that the fact that they create these swing moments or spike moments, they have the potential to create memorable and dramatic events within what otherwise would be quite a sterile backwards and forwards of two people manipulating probability. I guess that's fair in the right context. But surely, if you've got a tight little board game where the two people want to feel that it's a delicate push, my sort of feeling, maybe I'm the freak, but my feeling is if I beat my opponent because I feel that I weighed up the more risky... Blood Bowl is a great example, right? Whenever you win a game of Blood Bowl, I'm going to put this out there, whenever you win a game of Blood Bowl, you walk away most of the time thinking, I won that game because I risk assessed everything and I took the path of least risk with the highest probability of success most of the time. Because, again, you're not going to go through a game of Blood Bowl and not roll a skull on a block or whatever, a both down that's going to ruin your turn. But the skill is to make sure you did everything that was low risk first that you could before you went to the risk pinch, so that if it worked out, you didn't lose everything in the baby. You just had a setback that you needed to recover from. And that is the gaming I enjoy. The tight push and pull of people really assessing what's in front of them and making fine judgments. You only had to look at
when we played Nether Maze at UKGE.
Yep.
And the fact that we were both new to the factions, we knew nothing of the cards, etc. We both rolled crits to cancel one another at one point, and it didn't feel bad. Do you know what I mean? Because you did it, I did it. It worked both ways.
I think there were other factors at play there. The fact that we were playing the Nethermaze factions against each other, because the previous games we'd played, just for the background on anyone, I'd been playing my crappy old Shadespire warbands against stuff from Diachasm and all David's new stuff, and I realised just how massively power crept Underworld has become, and it really disheartened me, because I realised that there was this problem with Underworlds where it's a game that won't allow you to play with your toys without a shit ton of negotiation. You know, so you say to your opponent, look, I'm bringing the Chosen. First wave, Shadespire warband, they're shit. Please bring something that's going to work. Don't bring, I don't know, the fucking... What's some of yours, David? Your later warbands? See, I don't know what they're called.
Morgox Crusher's the 5-man Orc warband.
Oh, Christ, yeah. The one that's supposed to be Ultra A tier, is it? Or S tier?
S tier.
And that depressed me, because what I hate, I used to play collectible card games back in the day. I've been involved in competitive metas. I've attended big events. I got all that out of my system in my 20s, and I don't want a game to me now say you can play with this stuff, but only expect to get a few months out of it. After that, it's shit, and you won't want to bother with it. Because it's like, no, hang on a minute. I spent a good few hours painting all them models. Hold on, son. And what? You're telling me if I don't keep buying stuff and keep on the treadmill, that my ability to enjoy this game is going to be diminished over time?
Oh, and they've accelerated that treadmill for those that care. Because it's now 6 monthly release cycles, isn't it?
Yeah, well.
Yeah, Jerry. I mean, poison is not everyone can have it, but it is, I think, accessible to most armies in one form or another. The other thing is, I mean, Ricky was rolling spike dice, so it was partial. It wasn't like Ricky was spamming it. The other counterpoint is that shit that he bought was expensive. It was nearly a third of his army cost. That 3-man unit and its leader champion that went in with it was nearly a third of the army cost of what we were playing that particular evening. So One Page have balanced it to a degree.
Okay.
But it's like Ricky said. Now he's seen it. It's like, yeah, I'm not bringing anything but that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's that player mentality, innit? If you're gonna be that guy, fucking good luck. Do you know what I mean? I'm afraid that with any complex war game, it's gonna be vulnerable to that.
Yeah, building a list out and getting the list choice exactly perfect to optimize every single play.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as I say, can anybody think of any other reasons apart from that? The thrill. Thanks for the sub, Crispin. Can anybody think of any other reasons why crits are good, or why game designers want them? Apart from, as I've said, that creating the cinematic moment where odds are defied.
Yeah, but odds aren't really defied though, are they? On, like, particularly in these D6 games, because this was the other point actually that it came onto.
Ricky says he just likes playing with ranged, so he likes ranged attack space stuff.
Yeah,
that's fair, Ricky. Again, that's
ranged,
fair. I mean,
ranged is quite powerful. It wasn't a dig at you, mate. Of you're that guy, because I know you're not that guy.
If you want to do that, but definitely be not that guy, just bring Gloomspike Gits. Massive 40-man units of bowmen. They're shit. You'll kill nothing ever.
Because they barely hit, barely wound, barely do anything.
Ricky says that the range on them is possibly something that's a little bit extreme. The fact that you can't escape it. That's fair, Ricky. They could probably do with pulling that in.
Well, again, because after we had that bad experience in that game, we then went and looked at the next list that we want to build, like Ricky's Beastmen and my Seraphon.
Just to try some different factions for the game.
Yeah, and the Seraphon, Skinks have access to poison, or the Chameleons have access to poison. Can't remember exactly which ones it were. But they're only 18-inch range, or 12-inch range. So it's, again, like half the distance of Ricky's unit. So it's like, okay, that doesn't feel so bad.
Particularly if you've got to charge in and wipe them out before they get their shots off.
There was another point I was going to make.
Sorry, I've derailed your train of thought there, so
no,
I do apologise. Was it you thought of another good reason why crits are a boon to gaming and why they should be considered at least on the table for being placed in a game?
Oh, I know where I was going with this. Right, Warcry, and what was the other D6 one that we hated? Underworlds. Every Underworlds is a good example. Every model is rolling, say on average, 2 dice an attack, and is attacking once per action because everyone on your warband takes the charge action, for argument's sake.
It is a very common pattern.
That's four 2 dice charges per turn for 3 turns. Then how many crits are you going to get out of that? So you're rolling 8 dice.
24 dice on odds. You're going to get 4 crits.
Well, no, it's more than that, isn't it? Because it's 8 dice a turn for 3 turns,
which is 24 dice, and then you divide it by 6.
So I can't do math.
4.
So that's 4 crits over the course of a game. Don't even get me started on Warcry with how many dice you throw and everything else. So we'll gloss over that subject matter.
Yeah,
but
you do chuck quite a few dice in Warcry, don't you?
It's a bit egregious. You compare that to a 5 or 6 turn Frostgrave game. You don't get into melee very often. Okay, ranged is a thing, but you can't take more than 4 of your warband as a specialist, which the range now quantify as. And obviously you've got spells.
Let's just assume that you manage to engineer a situation. I mean, you're dead right. You can't do it. But let's assume that you can engineer a situation where every one of your 10 models can make an attack every turn for, say, 4 turns.
Yeah.
That's 40 dice. And the odds are 1 in 20. So that's 2 crits.
2 crits.
Over the whole game.
Plus your defense rolls.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I suppose, yeah. Because you roll dice on the defense as well. So potentially...
Jerry's made a good point of they're like sheep. They see them everywhere and feel like they need to include them. Crits or people will be asking where they are, and then it becomes a vicious cycle.
Do you know what, Jerry? That depresses me greatly, but I think you probably do have something. Particularly, without naming any names, pointing any fingers, these large, stable corporate game design companies where there seems to be a playbook or a formula and they design the fucking games by committee, whereas, you know, a small indie developer who's beholden only to himself,
Joseph McCullough in Frostgrave being a prime example,
can say,
the rule is optional.
Yeah, I could put that in, but does it really sit well in this game? Probably not. So yeah, that is fair, Jerry. So that's the shit design Me Too philosophy. Yeah,
I don't remember that too much from like 7th edition 40k. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't like all your Tesla and you get ridiculous amounts of hits on 6s in 7th edition from memory, was there?
Yeah, Tesla did explode. But again, see, Necron Tesla is a good example of where it doesn't really, it's not overbalanced, because I would always take Gauss over Tesla as a 7th edition player, because the big problem with Tesla, you can get tons of hits. What's your AP? Sweet
Nothing.
Fanny Adams. So unless
Yeah,
you're chewing your way through T-shirt saved Orc boys or fucking
Tyrannid
Gaunts, go on then, have 12 hits. Your opponent's going to save half of them.
Particularly if they're a competent Space Marine player.
You know, it's like, yeah, no. Well, if you're a Space Marine, you'll be saving 3/4 of them, 2/3 of them, plus re-rolls. So, you know, exploding dice in and of themselves isn't a bad thing, because there are ways, as long as with the game design you balance it. I mean, if you can imagine Tesla exploded on 6s and it was all AP 3, strength 8. What? No. Can we just stop this fucking nonsense straight away?
I would like to get off this vehicle. It seems to be running down the hill rather quickly.
You know. Whereas in practice it was AP 0, strength 6. Now strength 6, not bad. Not bad. But AP 0, yeah, whatever. Whatever.
Jerry's saying he picked up a fantasy/historical game.
Open combat. 3 dice max. You've moved more than twice as good as your opponent. Then you pick your best.
That's like the Blood Bowl, isn't it, with the strength?
Yeah. So similar. That copies the Blood Bowl block mechanic. Yeah, good idea. I mean, that works really well. Am I the only person who thinks Blood Bowl is a nice, tight little core system? I mean, fuck me. How long has Blood Bowl been completely unchanged as a game system? Early 90s? And they've literally...
changed... Yeah, I was going to say, they changed the passing rules recently, didn't they?
Well, no, they're tweaking at the edges, mate. They're tweaking at the edges. They've changed the piling rule. They've separated passing and agility. All of the other core stuff is exactly the same. I mean, the first edition of Blood Bowl was very different, with the cardboard standees, and you had full Warhammer profiles, weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, leadership, cool, intelligence, wisdom. But that was binned by second edition, and second edition Blood Bowl was definitely late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. Do you generally prefer games where it's more refined in terms of the outcome and less swingy? So do you prefer games where the crit thing is just set to one side and
this to me?
You play the dice averages?
I mean,
or does everybody here in the chat think, Paul, you're an idiot? That would be really sterile and boring. That's why people don't play chess. Because it's so fucking tight, only the player's ability matters. There's literally nothing else there.
I mean, this is the other comment that you made the other night, actually. I'm really sensitive to dice.
You are.
And yeah, I see no problem with crits, depending upon the game. I.e., if it's D10 or D20, I think it's fair fucking game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
D6s, no. You can leave them at the door, because I'm not critting 8, 9, 10 times in an evening and rolling ridiculous damage levels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I must confess, every time I hear you complain about a negative gaming experience, normally, if you've had a negative gaming experience, the first thing that you bitch about is the spiked dice, or the swing, or, do you know what I mean? And not and that's led me to say that you seem somebody who's highly sensitive to what dice are doing.
I mean, the other thing is, there is that counterpoint of if I'm having a night where I'm having my arse handed to me, because I can't roll above a 3, and then the one time in game when I've rolled a success, it's a crit, it gets to do cool things now. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this feels slightly better now.
Yeah. So you're basically responding to that excitement factor. Oh, I did something cool.
Yeah.
And again, maybe that's a design thing. Maybe the designers know that people have that, what's the word, dopamine hit. It's like, I did something cool. I get it, Crispin. We've had similar conversations, David, haven't we? Crispin says he's talked to 40k players who are like, we can think of one gentleman in particular. Oh, D20, no, that's too swingy. Yet they're quite happy to roll. And again, 40k does do to get around. There's one way to get around the randomness of dice is roll 2,500 of them over 2 hours. That is definitely a way to do it.
Click, clack, math rocks, go!
But the next time you come across a 40k player saying that, my answer to you would be to say, okay then, forego all your +1s, don't re-roll anything, just let the dice do their thing. See how fucking in love with D6s they are then. Because that's the problem with 40k.
Well, it's the problem with most D6 games, isn't it?
I'm just going to step up onto my soapbox for a second. The reason 9th edition is a pile of shit is because the game designers will not stop trying to over-mitigate the dice. They are if you're going to take the dice, if you want it to be a deterministic game where it's like, what strength have you got? 3? I've got 4. You're dead. If that's what you want, do that. Don't make us roll all these fucking dice, which takes forever, and then mitigate the shit out of them so it didn't matter. Rant over. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Did you get altitude sickness up there, boy?
Oh my god.
Again, I don't find crit mechanics in D10 and D20 systems egregious, and I certainly don't find the crit mechanic in Frostgrave egregious, because I've been bitten by it and I've bit others with it. It's a narrative campaign game, and that's the way I view that game.
Yeah. It
is not, I'm turning up to try and win tonight, which unfortunately is the caliber of certain players that play certain games.
The only reason I don't like it in Frostgrave, I mean, and again, I probably need to play more 2nd edition. There are 2 things I would prefer with Frostgrave. If the damage was based on the difference between the die rolls, or if the die roll was lower than your armor. So that if your opponent rolls high
17, 18,
on defense,
like, okay, you're only doubling 3 damage.
You can mitigate that damage. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the difference in the dice is only 2 because your opponent had a good fight value and rolled quite well. Well, it was 2, but I critted, so I had 5. It's still 7. That's not a one-hit kill for a 10-wound model.
No, well, again, that is the counter argument to that of if you roll a natural 1, i.e. a crit fail in inverted commas, you're saved by your armor, but it's mainly because you fell on your ass that round of combat and you're getting stabbed because you're a nice, easy target on the floor. You deserve that 10 damage with 5 on top. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I get why the armor thing is included rather than doing the opposed dice roll, because it makes it easier, because it's just like, well, it's anything more than 10 you take, whereas if it's a comparative dice roll thing, that's probably a little bit more complicated. So your final total is, and my final total is, that means Do you know what I mean?
But
I
again,
can
you
totally
have all
see.
that intervening cover and everything else. And
I
it's
can
just
see
like,
why
oh.
Joseph went down the route of just saying, look, there's an armor value. If it's whatever's more than that is what you take. But as I say, I've played so much Frostgrave First Edition, and let's be clear, I played a ton of Frostgrave First Edition because I enjoyed the game. But I did play a lot of games where it was like, I'll take a random fire it and hope shot from across the board. Twang! Oh look, I shot your apprentice in the eye. What a fluke. I'm going to take a random shot from nowhere across the board. Oh, I critted. I just killed your... Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, really? Again? And again?
Jerry has just mentioned one of your favourite games, Paul.
Yes. You see, Jerry, me and you, mate. We're of a generation. Kings of War, again. Absolutely fucking amazing game. So well designed.
Oh, shit it!
Yeah.
There's
Yeah. Again, I know what you're saying. The double one always passes your nerve test is a rule that I've heard people bitch and moan about. I'm with you. Number one, the odds of getting it are so fucking small. It's literally like less than 3%, isn't it? Have I done the maths? Somebody who's got better maths probability than me. I'm sure
it's 1 in 6 times 1 in 6.
Yeah, it's
so
1 in
36.
1 in 36, which is about 2.6, 2.7% chance. Okay? So the chances of it happening are fucking tiny. And it's a defensive crit.
Yeah, it's not offense.
Yeah, do you know what? I did see that, mate, because David bought me Silver Bayonet for Christmas. I still haven't managed to get any models put together. But yeah, exactly. 2d10 versus 1d20. You get that flattened normal distribution that you get from a 2d6. Where everything's weighted to the centre and your extreme values are less likely. Brilliant. Great idea. Great idea. Good game design.
Well, I've just lost a mini.
Mate, it didn't throw itself out the window on some sort of suicide bid, so it's got to be there somewhere.
No, it threw itself on the floor.
And the floor, presumably, unless you're living in some sort of like Cthulhu dimension, the floor is a finite flat plane bounded by edges.
Yeah, but I also have no lighting under my desk and other shit, do I?
Okay. Well, I was going to say that's a you problem.
Says the man that lost a body for Wild West Exodus. Yes.
Fair.
Don't
if
call
anybody,
me out on losing shit when you lose shit.
Here we go. So here's a cry for help. Help. If Crispin, I'm a new player right now to throw games like the feel of fast. So you've not been wargaming very long, Crispin, no? If anybody out there has a copy of the first edition Wild West Exodus Outlaws versus Lawmen 2-player starter box, and they have body C1 on the Outlaw sprue that they don't need, I've lost mine.
Get in touch. Leave a message in the comment below.
So I know it's sort of specific, but if you give me that piece, I can assemble the last goddamn Outlaw from the box. I didn't, mate, but I did see it in your video feed, and I was highly tempted. I will definitely check it out, because you played Grimdark, or was it Age of Fantasy? I can't remember which one page you did.
Oh, look for it. Fuck it.
Oh, fucking hell. Building and painting. So you're the same as me, Crispin. I'm 51, and I started Well, my first games were D&D when I was about 11 and 12, the old red box. My first miniatures game was Rogue Trader. So what would that be, 88? I don't know. How the fuck old would I have been then? I was born in 71. Somebody tell me. 17, 16.
As daft as it seems, and I'm going to make everyone here feel old.
David's a Patreon for one-page rules, mate, but that's because he's a 3D printing psychopath. So
not a psychopath.
He loved all the minis.
Just a collectathon, actually. I've been in the wargaming community for about
10 minutes.
No, not 10 minutes, 10 years. But prior to that, I used to, and I think I've still got it sat around here somewhere, because I used it the other week for you. Oh, it's on the floor. Fuck it. I used to paint.
No, you see? It's on the floor, but you managed to find it.
No, I didn't manage to find it. It's just not on the bedside
Grimdark.
table.
Okay, Jerry. Yeah, I thought it was Grimdark that you'd played. I did Age of Fantasy, you know, because you saw my thingy. I really, really enjoyed Age of Fantasy because, and like I said in my project on tabletop, I deliberately engineered it so me and my opponent played the same armies in AOS 3rd edition back to back, and then literally dragged them over and played the same game with Age of Fantasy. And my God almighty, it was revelationary.
Well, again, me and Ricky did a similar thing with Iron Jaws versus
Crispin shit. David, you've got a new super fan.
I know. What FDMs have you got, Crispin, and what resins have you got?
Right, the rest of us can tune out now and just do some painting, because it's all going to get a bit fucking tediously geek.
I have a Keeley Tech dual extruder, and I have a Ender 3 clone, a Keeler, Voxel Lab Keeler, as my FDM printers. Resin printer-wise, I only have the one. It's a original Photon, but have you painted your bolt action yet, boy?
I haven't painted my bolt action. Unless you've noticed, I've been grinding my way through 200 Assassin's Creed figures, which I'd just like to raise with chat while we've got some witnesses. When we set this channel up, I do believe us saying, well, we should both paint our Assassin's Creed together to highlight our different approaches, blah fucking blah. That very quickly went by the wayside, didn't it?
go off.
Everybody ragging.
Just because I have other things to paint, and I obviously take twice as long to paint anything as you do, because I paint stuff to incredible levels of detail.
Don't laugh at him, Jerry. You'll only encourage him.
Slap paint on it and be done with it. God be damned.
Yeah.
Also, you forget I have a small child who occupies my time. I mean, fucking same shit, isn't it, really?
To be fair,
but I have a small child that occupies my time, but also is getting into the hobby too, and I'm going to teach him Gaslands properly, because he liked it when we was just racing Gaslands. So
you're going to teach him Gasland with guns and bullets? Yeah,
because why not? I mean,
Did you see Crispin posted his?
Yeah, he's got any cubic mega.
He's posted his want to meet thing. Has he got better tech than you?
I mean, yeah. I have an OG Photon. Big deal. It's for what I'm printing, and I mean, me, it's sat there 4 weeks, and I've not printed anything on it. Which I need to get on because I've got commissions to get on.
Oh, do you want to tell everybody why you've not been doing so much printing lately?
Because I've been busy in life. I've got work.
Hang on a minute. Just roll this one back a bit. When you say busy in life, would you like to be more specific?
How?
Well, just for everybody, because David's obviously avoiding the subject. David's been busy on his allotment. And I'm 51. And he's been busy on his allotment and napping. because he's tired from all that digging. Fucking hell.
Just because I'm middle-aged.
Right. Jerry's
And sit on Instagram and the internet doom scrolling until like 3 a.m.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a veg.
Now, I am going to derail the chat here because we've got some interesting things to show, chat. We've got some paints that really need to be shown off.
Let's do that, because otherwise we're going to sit here. Let's go through some of the slides. Let me see if I can prep some slideshows. What's Jerry put here? Jerry, it reminds me when 4 members of Beast of War had to paint an army for Conquest. So far, I've painted 2 armies, and the other people are...
Jerry, I've got a printer with a scanner. Yes, boy.
Do you know what? I was nearly going to ask Jerry what 3D printer he'd got just to take the piss, because I knew he'd be like me. He'd be like, whatever. Yeah, good for you, Jerry. See, but the problem with that was, Jerry, if I remember correctly, everybody put all their commitments up on the internet for everybody to see, and up until this point, David had only been shamed by me in the background. But now I've put it out there for the world to know.
Anyway. No, I'm not having this. I'm not having this. I'm not having this. I'm going in my box of minis.
Well, you're going to sulk in there?
No, I'm going to cry tears into them. Anyway, I primed more. I had, up until this weekend, primed more than you had.
Okay, you can stop with the defensiveness now, mate. We're not going to take the piss anymore. We promise. So, should we tell them all about Turbo Dork?
Yeah, in a second. There's a box of Assassin's Creed minis in a nice container.
I am going to set up a slideshow. Let's go to the good pictures from UKGE first.
Also, you're cheating because you're using speed paints. Just saying.
I am not. It's not cheating.
It is cheating.
It is not cheating.
It is cheating. I'm not having it. You're not even highlighting them. You're cheating.
They look fine. Stop moaning.
No, you want better than fine. It's Assassin's Creed.
Right. I have a slideshow prepared for all of the Turbo Dork.
Let's go then.
So just let me pause the slideshow so that I have manual control and it won't randomly throw us.
Jump around.
I apologise for the first photo because it's sideways on.
Your old arms can't turn it round.
Massive thanks to David Wilson from our old gaming club for the photography. The initial photographs you're going to see are all taken from UK Games Expo this year. And he's a way better photographer than I am. Many thanks to him.
Jerry, I'm going to just put it out there. That's you roped into stream forever and a day then, my friend, because we will keep coming back every Thursday until he catches up. Paul will have finished his, probably done all the playthroughs on the YouTubes, and then I will start.
The Zenith does the highlighting. Jerry knows all of the tech. Using speed paints is like adding a penis extender. I'm not sure I like where you're going with that, Crispin. But yeah. Right, so sorry this photo is the wrong orientation. So Turbo Dork, David, it's a range of metallic paints
and colour shifts, and I think that's it. Let me just go to...
Is Exit 20... Because we found the products. They were both new to us, I think I'm right in saying, at UKG this year.
I had seen them spoken about before on the YouTubes. I can't remember who had spoken about them, but I'd seen them spoken of. It was the first time I'd seen them in the flesh.
Yeah, me neither, Jerry.
So they do on the website turbo shifts, metallics, Zenny shifts, and some bundles.
And this is Exit 23 Games is the company, isn't it?
Exit23, I do believe, are the UK distributor for them.
Okay, and the actual Turbo Dork are not manufactured but distributed by them. Fine.
Yes.
Good job you were paying attention.
So turbo shifts are like your Green Stuff World color shifts, your Vallejo color shifts, anybody else that wants to jump on the color shift bandwagon. They're all right.
So these photos, while David is talking, I will put up some photos that we took at the Exit 23, or that David took, in all fairness to him. Although I think a couple of these are mine. You'll be able to tell because the colours are washed out and they're badly out of focus. Go Jerry. Another cameraman like me. But carry on, David.
So that's the turbo shifts. They then do a range of coloured metallics, and my God, are they vibrant. Now, I've seen on the YouTubes a lot of people using like candy apple red and other colours that are from like different manufacturers and that kind of thing. Turbo Dork have pretty much all of that with bells and whistles. They've got like a liquid chrome. They've got, I've got one here actually, Absinthe, which is a really, really bright green. There's blues, purples, reds, golds. I mean, you can see them all on screen chilling there.
Yeah, these are three of the turbo shifts, because as David said, they've got the turbo shifts are like the ones that change colour depending on their orientation with the light source.
Yeah.
But they do just do straight metallic paints. They've got an excellent range of coloured metallics.
Yeah, so the other thing they do is what's called Zenny shift. So
which is what this photograph is, because they were trolling everybody at the show with this.
With that bubblegum crisis or whatever it was.
They were saying they said to all of their customers or visitors to the stand, this is the same paint.
And I'm inclined to believe them.
I am. You can I don't know if people can see my cursor, but the pink guy, his lower legs, you can just see the gold. And again on his shoulders.
Again,
it's harder to see.
They are better in video in IRL than they are on still images.
These paints, as anybody who's done it will know, are notoriously difficult to photograph.
But yeah, Bubblegum Crisis, Twin Suns, is it? Yeah, Twin Suns, and there was another one they haven't Zenny Shift. Basically, if you put them over black, they go one colour. If you put them over white, they go a different colour. So and therefore, if you Zenith for your mini, you've got two tones on your mini
straight away.
As per your Zenithal highlight scheme.
It's effectively, if you Zenithal the mini and then sprayed this on, if you do a really high contrast Zenithal. Obviously, if it's quite subtly blended, you're going to lose the impact. But if you do a black-white, literally jet black undercoat and then white from straight above, you're going to get this pink on the white and gold on the black, and it's going to give you the world's craziest effect.
So, while I was at the show, I bought some Twin Suns Zenny Shift to mess around with. I bought some Skyrat Turbo Shift, which is a black base with like a green purple hue to it on the color shift. I don't know if that'll let me just move that a minute.
While David's talking, I'll just scroll through some of the pictures from their display, some of the models, from their display cabinet.
So you can see the shift there just about on camera.
Yeah, that one is, I think the Tyranids, I'm not sure if this one is a shift or just a straightforward purple metallic, but these are definitely a shift paint.
And then the other thing they do is just
look at these towel. Fuck me, look at this towel.
Ridiculous metallic colours. And I picked up one called Absinthe. They're gorgeous. If you see them in the flesh anywhere, I would, and particularly if there's any models on display, I would certainly recommend going and having a look for yourself because they are just superb. And they're so unique. And when you pair this, like on the Stormcast that were on screen just, the green metallic with the matte pink of the like cloth and the fabric,
yeah,
it is insanely good.
Yeah. I mean, doing those combination paints just to highlight the different materials is just such a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, because they're metallic, they barely need any highlighting because they do it themselves.
They do themselves. I mean, look at these Marines. You can see, I think there is some edge highlighting on these, looking at the knees and the feet.
Are they the green ones that were in the cabinet?
Yeah, the apple green with the gold and black guns.
Yeah, they were edge highlighted because he did say to me there's about 3 shades on there. He did one dark green shade all over, then Zenithal did second green, then went round the edges with a different green.
So he actually used a Zenithal technique with the greens.
Yeah, just the pure metallics, not any, what's it called?
There's those Bubblegum Crisis minis again. I think these are probably my pictures. Yeah, these are the ones I took. As I say, not as good as David's, but and just to finish off, so obviously David bought some, and you're going to be you've experimented with them a little bit already, David.
Yeah, I've played around with.
Let's finish the slideshow, and then if you've got it handy, you can show us your mini, maybe on Minicam.
Will if I can find her.
Don't worry, don't panic.
I found her.
What I have got is now Ricky, who's in the chat. He's got some as well, and he's been using them on a few painting projects. So I think these are the ones you own, aren't they, Ricky? But these are not shifters.
No, Ricky, they're all flat metallics because I bought them for him.
Yeah, he's got like a blue and a red and a purple, just a straight coloured metallic. And he tried to take some pictures for me just to show how they look, because the vibrancy in the colour is really nice.
The purple's insanely nice. The blue's really
nice.
Look
at the red. Oh my Christ.
Yeah, the red's okay. I'm just not a huge fan of that metallic red. It's a little bright and punchy for me, but if bright and punchy's your thing, go and get them.
I get it. It's an extreme colour, but it's really nice. That is good as well. The purple. But I'm definitely going to be buying some of the straight metallics. I think the colour shift thing, I mean, I have done a colour shift project. I did all of my Scourge in colour shift for DZZ. But I don't necessarily think it's going to be something I'm going to use a lot. But straight coloured metallics, my God, I can think of so many ways to use those in painting projects. I think I'll get so much more value out of them.
Nice Red Star Scrappers mini there, Ricky. Hey. For those with a 3D printer that like nice, quick to play rule systems, go check out Star Scrappers Battle Drill. Back on the channel a few weeks ago, we did touch bases on it when I played it. I think it's in the video where we also talk about Scythe. So if you give that a search on the channel, you should be able to find it.
It is in the title, Battle Drill.
Yeah, it's a really good game, and it's all 3D printed. For those that are here in chat tonight with some 3D printers.
So did you want to go to Minicam, mate, and show some...
I can go to Minicam.
Let me put your Minicam online.
Let me focus it.
Here we go. So this is David's Minicam. See if you can get the transition to come off on camera.
There we go.
And this one is a blue-green?
This is Twin Suns. This is a blue-green Zenny shift. So, again, there you go. There it is.
Yeah.
Just in the corner of that there. So, because this was Zenithal Prime from above, obviously it's gone blue, mainly.
Yeah. And you were looking to get the effect on the interior.
The recesses on the interior goes green. It has had a little bit of a blue glaze over it, just to add some detail back in, because it did look a little flat in there.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, there you go.
I can see the green, and that's a good angle. You can see the green deepening in the darkest recess as you turn that way. Just a thing then. So when you applied the blue glaze colour, did that affect the way the Zenithal thing worked? Or did it work okay regardless?
It's literally just if I can get it to focus. It was literally just to use it as like a wash.
And it didn't.
It hasn't tinted the green at all.
So it didn't affect it.
Well, I mean, there you go.
Well, you're a bit out of shot, mate. But
you go from blue there.
Yep.
green like that.
Yeah. But obviously what I meant was you saw it before you applied the glaze, and it was the same. It didn't impact
It's not made any difference.
Cool.
While we're on minicam, that's what they're looking like now with that Drew cheat. If I don't launch him on the floor. So back in with some Pro Acryl later to tidy him up, and then go up to probably white grey. That's what we're going with. So that's what I've done tonight. I suppose the next thing to talk about is some minis from the show, which is Moonstone.
Yes, let's go back to the main scene.
So Jerry, depending upon what paint you are using, i.e. Zenithshift obviously wants to go over a Zenithal Prime, a metallic, and the colour shift, so I can read it exactly as it recommends from the bottle. Shake well before use, make sure the tip is clear. Must be applied over a black undercoat and paint in 3 to 5 thin layers with an airbrush or hand brush. And you get 20mm for... I didn't realise how close Morrigan was cropped in on camera till I've just seen it.
I tell you, I was going to talk to you about after stream. That's because you've got to remember it's set up for landscape mode.
And I was holding it portrait.
If you turn your mobile portrait, you screw with the screen layout. But I was going to tell you that later, because you'll notice you're also spilling behind our faces. Fair
enough. And then, the paints are airbrush ready, crisping, and you just apply them over a black undercoat. Basically,
black gloss.
3 to 5.
I think gloss.
No, doesn't say gloss.
Just says black.
Just says black undercoat. Now, obviously, from the experience we have with colour shifts, they do work better over gloss.
Yeah, because you get more light bouncing back through.
Yeah, and scattering through the pigments. And I would assume the same is true, at least for the Zenithshifts and what's it called? Zenithshifts and the Turbo Shifts.
Turbo Shift, that's it, yeah.
Which is actually a point, actually. I should probably try Zenithaling a mini and then glossing the shit out of it before I Zenithshift it.
Yeah. Yeah, just use a gloss varnish. That would be an interesting experiment, actually, to see what effect that has on it. Have you got an idea for something that you're going to try the Zenithshift on?
Not at the moment.
Okay,
but I'm sure I can find
It's such an unusual look. I wouldn't have expected you to pull something out of your ass, to be fair. It's one of them things that... I think the right project, my God, it'd be killer. But you're not going to use it on just anything, are you?
No.
So, anyway, you talk amongst yourselves. I will...
get Moonstone queued up.
Yeah. Let's see if we go back to this folder. Go to this folder.
So the Moonstone demo table at I suppose I could paint some Dark Elves Crispin, but I don't own any Dark Elves. So that's a thing. But yeah, that's actually a really good shout. Particularly the Skyrack colour that I've got, that's that black, purple, green.
What? Dark Elves?
Yeah.
I've got an entire Dark Elf force I haven't even assembled yet.
Oh, look, you could use some colour shifts.
To be fair, I was intending to do them in colour shift, but Zenithshift might even be better. That's a very good idea, Crispin.
Yes, Crispin, I could print them, but that requires me to go and find the files out of all of the files that I have downloaded.
What do you got? About third of a terabyte?
2/3 of a terabyte.
Oh, sorry.
With another 10.5 gig to download this month from all my Patreons.
God. Right. Anyway, where was I? So
Moonstone was where we were at.
These pictures are in a bit of a random order. There is no particular order to these. Again, most of the pictures, particularly the good ones, will have been taken by David Wilson, because he's a way better photographer than I am. Essentially, it's a lot of mini shots of all of the stuff that they had in their display cabinets, just for us to all coo and goo over. Yeah, I'll start the slideshow, mate, and you can sort of tell them a little bit about Moonstone. Although we know Jerry's already an old hand.
See you later, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I don't spend quite that much a month, Crispin. I currently only spend about 30, but it's one-page rules, which gives you a massive amount to download. Titan Forge, which gives you a massive amount to download, and what's the other one I do religiously? Artisan Guild. And then this month I've also got to download my Punga. What's it called? Slan team. The other half of my Slan team. Because I have a Slan team now to print for Blood Bowl at some point. But yeah, Moonstone minis, absolutely gorgeous. The rule set, how we
it's a very cartoony aesthetic, isn't it, mate? So it might not be to everybody's taste.
The other thing we quite like the look of is the fact that there's basically only 3 factions in the game, and you just build out however you want. So you can again go in and buy one set of stuff now.
Right. I apologise, everybody. I have just killed the slideshow. I will try that again. OBS noob makes catastrophic error live. Okay. Carry on.
So the fact that you can go and buy one set now that fits like the green and the black scheme. Can't remember what the factions were actually called.
I'll be honest. Jerry, put in the comments, what are the 3 main factions?
And then further down the road, you can go and diversify that set and go more into the green, more into the black, more into the gold, however you want it to be. So you can build like, I had my eyes on the Goblin Pirate box and the Human Pirate box.
So you were going to lean on the
pirate theme. But then you could also take, say, you bought that set now. In 12 months' time, you could buy some more humans and then build a second like human warband with the human pirates and a human something else, and do similarly with your goblins and go just down the goblin theme. There's similar stuff with undead and the fairies as well, isn't there?
I was just looking at these miniatures. Look at this guy with this gun in the front right hand corner.
Is that the human guy that comes in the starter set that's got like all the armor on? Because don't forget, I'm behind you on stream.
Yeah,
so
it is. Well, I'm assuming it probably is because he does have a load of armor on, but he looks amazing. Jerry,
it's like a sniper rifle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Looks absolutely amazing. And the thing is, there's such a weird mix of styles and aesthetics. It's all got that light-hearted, cartoony look to it.
Jerry has come back into chat with the Commonwealth, Dominion, and Lechevault.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jerry. Jerry, here we go. Well, let's just leave us some more knowledge out of you. Who's their studio painter? Is it one guy, or do they farm them out, or is it the actual game designer? Is he the man behind the paintbrush? Because their paint is just killer. Their studio stuff is killer. Which is what all these are, obviously, for everybody at home. These are all their display miniatures from their case at the show. Look at this guy. Holy crap.
Have you got the Beauty and the Beast ones in this slideshow somewhere? You know, the purple girl with a hand outstretched with like the vampire masquerade mask on, and then there's the Beast behind him. Like
honestly, mate, I don't know what's here and what's not here. Because I threw this together really quickly before we came on. I mean, there is a woman there with an arm outstretched and sort of blondish hair and a long dress, but she's a bit blurry, to be fair. So I don't know whether that's what you're on about or not. Look at this guy. Is this a woman? Looks like some sort of woman with a cauldron on her back. So cool.
I mean, there's the one gnome pirate or goblin pirate that's literally wearing a squid on his head. Literally, his entire face is just a squid, absolutely covered.
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
He shall appear.
I think, is it an octopus or a squid?
It's either an octopus or a squid.
It looks like an octopus, but you can't really see the back, so it could easily be a squid. But yeah, it is cool. Very cool.
He's had to reach out to other people across the world to paint because originally it was one guy that painted them.
Well, he certainly he knows how to pick some painters. That's because there's some amazing paint on these models.
A pain in the arse to assemble, Jerry, or are they not too bad?
Look at this model with these transparent mushrooms. I'm assuming this base was all sculpted and moulded by whoever put it together. And this is actually just, the mini's just on a flight stand and a base. But the work that's gone into these things, man, crazy good. Absolutely crazy good. Unbelievable models. Just can't get enough of them.
The table itself as well, the demo table at Expo,
There are some pictures.
Was amazing.
There are some pictures of that coming. If everybody
there was for those that own 3D printers and like to print their terrain, I recognised a lot of it because it was from printablescenery.com. And when I said to the guy who was running the demo about it, he goes, "It might be," and dodged the question. But the reason I knew that was because there's the Ruined Observatory on there that I've got for a Frostgrave table. There's the stuff out of the Shadow Fade Kickstarter that again I've got. So it was like, I recognise this. But it really fits the aesthetic.
This model on screen is the rabbit guy, isn't it, Jerry? Who has all the weird bunny rabbits. This is one of my favourite models from the game. Just because the idea. Yeah, because
you were quite taken with the fairy stuff, weren't you?
I like the wild animal, fey wood stuff. Yeah, the more animalistic. The actual fairies with wings, not so much. But all the stuff that's like half animal, or the the goblin riding the ram and this guy with his rabbits and that sort of stuff. That's what appeals to me.
I
did see like this sort of Wendigo style thing with the antlers and the deer skull face. These are the things that appeal to me. He's quite cute. Chubby little satyr.
Older sculpts occasionally have some fiddly bits, but the main good casts are so easy to work with.
And it's resin, presumably, Jerry?
I think they are.
They won't be hard plastics, will they?
No. Well, it's either that or metals, but I don't think they're metals.
Going to be resin. I mean, these are the models that I love. Anything that's got an animalistic theme or, an animalistic touch to it. Like this guy mounted on the world's most fucking startled boar with the weirdest haircut in the world. It's just absolutely great.
Jerry says, "Fear the bunnies."
Is that guy literally pushing that guy on like an improvised wheelchair thing? That does seem a bit weird. These models are nuts.
They are gorgeous, and it is a real shame we didn't get on the Moonstone table this year. If they are there next year at Expo, I think it'll be something that we do very early doors. Because we will probably end up buying into it. If we don't buy into it between now and next show.
Here's the table that you were talking about. Some shots from the actual table and the demo game pieces. Look, it was a really nice little table.
It was gorgeous. It was so well done. So well done. Hats off to whoever did that table because it was gorgeous. It weathered nicely.
That's it, I'm afraid. We've only got those few shots of it. There it is in all its glory. There's so many nice little details on it, like David said, with all the ruined buildings and the forests.
There was even a bloody rope bridge in the back.
Yeah, there was. I was going to say there was water effects all in the middle here, wasn't there?
Yeah.
It was so well done. So well done. Well, that takes us to well past time.
It does.
Yeah, I can't see. Definitely, I can't see us avoiding it for one another year. It's probably going to be a game we're going to pull the trigger on next year. And it's like David said, you literally look at the whole range of boxes, and like the guy on the booths, the guy who was selling the stuff said, you just pick 2 boxes, 40 quid, plus or minus, and you're in. Just pick what you think looks cool and go with it.
It was Tom's first year and he sold out the entire weekend stock in that first day and had to drive a 4-hour round trip over Friday night to bring more stuff back.
Bless
I think he's
him.
definitely coming back.
Good for him.
Well, hats off to him because it looks an amazing game. The minis look gorgeous. The table, now whilst that isn't part of the game, really sold it and really sold the aesthetic. And from everything we've seen in like the local Discord groups for the couple of clubs we've got locally and the Facebook pages and stuff, there's a few lads locally that are really into their Moonstone.
Is it Spalding?
It looks like a really good game. Yeah,
Spalding got into it, didn't
Moonstone
they?
Scene. Yeah.
Their gaming club got into it. And the other thing is, it's got a unique for
USP.
For mechanics nerds like me. It's got a USP. Like Jerry talked about earlier, the way that the combat is card driven, and you've got like this high attack, mid attack, low attack, and high block, mid block, low block. This sort of like, it's almost rock, paper, scissors-y sort of thing, but not quite.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Genius idea. You know, it gives the game something unique that you play it and you think, I've not really experienced this in any other game.
Why have I not stumbled across this before?
And in the really, really crowded market that we've got of miniature wargaming now, which I keep saying is not a bad thing, it's nice to have choice, but
occasionally there's too much though.
They're running an 8-week. Oh, what the game designers are running like one of these like global campaign things where people can report games and there'll be a sort of story to it. That sounds cool.
I noticed that's an option on DZC's website as well now to run a league when I was building an army the other day. So that might be something we have a look into as well, Chuck.
Yeah, that'd be good to do at the club for you. Because you've got quite a few people interested in that. Look.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gone past 10 o'clock, guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight and being in the chat. It's been lovely to talk crap with all of you and rag on critical mechanics and others and basically take the mickey out of David.
On that note,
that may be an overshare, Crispin. I'm just saying, but
I mean, at least he's rounding out his night well.
We can't follow that. I think it's good night.
It's pointless even trying to like, share, subscribe, and do all that other YouTube stuff that feeds the beast because that comment's just nailed it. Literally.
Oh dear. Yeah, thanks very much, guys. And we will see you same time, same place next week.